In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to filter a drop-down list or a select list based on another select list. So for instance, if I select electronics from this list, the subcategories will be subcategories under electronics. And of course, if I select something like books, you see that the subcategories will be books. And the same thing goes for every other thing. The subcategories, they are selected accordingly. So I'm going to show you step by step how to do this. And you are going to be doing it in about 6 simple steps. I've defined it right here. The step by step we are going to be following to implement this tutorial is going to be right here on my website. The link to my website is in the description box of this video below, so click and then you can go and follow the steps. But since I know the steps, I'm going to just go through them with you. The application we are going to be using for this tutorial will be this one. For this one, we only have just 3 fields without no drop-down list. In the previous tutorial, we covered how to add, edit, delete items from a table, and also to fetch some items from an API endpoint. We covered how to add pagination to table, like you can see right here. We also covered how to add the snack bar notifications. For instance, if I delete, you see that the snack bar notification appears right here. So all those, you have the link in the description box to see, in the description box of this video to see how to do them. In this tutorial, let's now continue from this first step. So this is the application we are using. For now, there is no select list in this application, so we are going to add it right now and follow the steps. I would also like to remind you to subscribe to my channel if you've not subscribed, so that you don't miss any update from me. So the first thing you want to take note of, we want to take note of the URL that the products come from. So if you follow the link, you see that it gives you products, but inside the product, we also have the subcategory, and we also have the category as well. This information is going to be important later on in this tutorial. Okay, we also want to check what other endpoint is there. We also have categories. How to build the API is already in my website and also in the description box. How to build this Spring Boot API. The Spring Boot for this, the Spring Boot project is actually right here. You can see the product list here, and we developed it previously. If you want to know more, please reach out to me or just take the link in the description box of this video. Okay, let's also take a look at the subcategories to see what we have. So this is the subcategories. Okay, so let's go ahead to take it step by step. So I'm going to put away this tutorial because I already know the steps. So I'm going to just follow the steps. And the first step says define the states. There will be 3 states that we are going to need: the categories, the all subcategories, and the filtered subcategories. So let's go ahead to create those. Okay, so I'm going to the place I have my states defined. So we are going to define the categories. So I'm going to create a new state to hold the categories when I fetch them. So it's going to be categories, and it's going to be use states, and the initial value will be an empty array. We do the same thing for subcategories as well. And we also need another state, that is the one that is going to hold the filtered subcategories when a user selects a category. So we have our states for handling filtering. Now we also need to update the state of the product. So now we have this new product and we have edit product. For now, let's focus on adding new product because that is exactly what we have here. We also have edit, but for now, let's do add new first. So let's go to update the state of the new product to include the category ID and also the subcategory ID. Now I know this is the case because if I go to the API endpoint and go back to product, we can see that we have the fields to be category ID right here, this one, and also the subcategory ID. Next, we want to create the effect hook to fetch categories when the application loads. So we are going to be using the use effect hook to fetch the categories when the application loads. And the easy thing to do is to copy this effect hook here for products. And I'm going to simply replicate it for categories. And I'm going to change this product to categories. I'm also going to set, instead of setting the product, I'm going to set the categories. We are going to also do the same thing. In this case, we are also creating the effect hook for fetching the subcategories. So I'm going to copy and paste as usual. And I'm going to change categories here to subcategories. And I'm also going to change it here to subcategories. Okay, so now we have the effects created. And the next thing we want to do is to create the select statement, or want to add the select tag to the form. Because if you go to the UI, you don't have the select, so we want to add the select to the form. So let's go to do that right now. So you can see that this is the form dialog for adding new products. So we are going to simply go to add the select. I'm going to add it in the first place. So it's going to be select, and we need a number of props as well. So in this select, we need an ID for it. So I'm going to set the ID to be, now the ID is going to be the category ID. And we also need another prop, the change handler. What is going to happen when the category changes? So it's going to be on change, and we'll have to create a handler, but for now we don't have it. So let's call it handle change categories, or handle category change. So this is the handler, and then we also need to give it a value. Now the value is very important, and the value is going to be the value it has in the new product. So I'm going to set the value to be new product.category ID. Okay, so this is about it for all the props. Now we need to set the content of this select to be options. So we need one default option to be the empty option that says select an option. So it's going to be option, and it's going to have a text choose. Now we also need a series of options below. So here, what we are going to display here is the categories. For each of the category, we are going to return an option tag. So I'm going to map through the categories. So I'm going to say categories.map, and for each category, we are going to return a JSX, which is the option tag. We are going to return an option, and inside that option, we are going to get the title of the current category. So it's going to be category.title. So category has a field called title. This is exactly what we want to display, and this is exactly what we want to display in the list. Now, for every list of items in React, you need a key, and optionally, we need a value. So in this case, the key is going to be the category ID. So it's going to be category.id, and the value is going to be the category ID as well. Okay, so we have the value and we have the key. Now it's possible that these categories might load before they are available. So it's possible that some categories might not have a title, and trying to display a title of category that doesn't have a title is going to return an error. So I'm going to filter out where the title does not exist. Filter here. We are going to filter out where the title is null. So this can be a bit confusing, but what we are doing here is that we are filtering and not taking any category that the title is null. So we are taking only where the title is not equal to null. So this is basically it for the options and also the select for category. Now we need to create the event handler for category. What is going to happen when the category changes? When the category changes, we want to filter the subcategories and update the filtered subcategories. So let's go write this event handler. I'd like to write this event handler right here. So take note of what we are going to do. We are going to perform three things: obtain the category that was selected, update the category ID in the new product, and then filter the subcategories based on that category ID. So let's start writing it and it becomes clearer. So we call it handle category change, and handle category change is going to receive an event which represents the selected product, which represents the selected category ID that the user selected. So that's the event here, which will actually give us the selected ID. Now we are going to get the selected category ID. So it's going to become selected category ID. It's going to be events.target.value. And we now want to update the new product with this new category that was selected. What it means is we want to set the category ID in the new product. So we are going to use the setter function for the new product. So it's going to be set new product, and we are going to set it using the spread operator, new product. We also only update the category ID to selected category ID. And we also want to update the subcategory ID to be empty, because once you select a category, you want the user to now select the subcategory. So the initial value of the subcategory, once you select a category, the the subcategory will have a value of empty. So we are going to set that as well. So that means that there's no remaining selection from a previous category selected. It doesn't keep an existing filtered subcategory. Okay, so this is what happens. We also will now go ahead to perform a filtering of the subcategories based on this category ID. So we are going to filter the subcategories, keeping only the subcategories that has this subcategory ID. So I'm going to create filtered subcategories. It's going to take all subcategories. Permit me to just check because I wanted to call this all subcategories. Actually, this is filtered subcategories, but this is going to be, I want to call this all subcategories, and this is set all subcategories. Okay, so this is what we have. Let's now continue with the event handler. Okay, so we now want to filter all subcategories and only keep the subcategory that has the category ID that was selected. So how do we do that? We have a subcategory and we are going to perform the filtering where the subcategory dot category ID is equal to the selected subcategory, the selected category ID. But now we will convert it to number because the subcategory object has category ID as a number. And once we do this, we are going to now update the filtered subcategories with this one. So I'm going to set filtered subcategories with filtered subcategories. So what this means is once you click on the category select and you select a category, we are going to set the category ID on the new product and we are going to filter the subcategories list to keep only the subcategories that has the category ID to be the selected category ID. At this point, I would like to update the table to include the category ID and the subcategory ID columns. So I'm going to save, just to see that we don't have any error, but we have an error. Let's see. Line 185 is going to be set all subcategories, and line 319, let's see what is there. So I missed the syntax here, is going to be an arrow function here, and I think everything should be fine. So let's go back to the UI and everything is just okay. Now we want to add the category field to this table. So I'm going to go to the table and now we have the table to include product.category.title. Okay, so we are getting the category, the title here, but for some reason it doesn't show up here on the table. So let's see, I think we are going to add one field, just one field in the header before the date, that is the category. So I'm going to simply add a table cell and the scope is going to be call and it's going to be category. And let's save and see if we have category displayed, and we have category displayed right here on the table. The next thing we want to do, so let's check, and we have the categories appearing here. We are going to style it later, so don't worry about this. The next thing we want to do is to display the subcategories drop-down list and also write the event handler. So I'm going to go down to write the select for subcategory. So I'm going to go to, this time I'm going to actually thinking of copying and pasting, but I think I'll just write the select statement. So as usual, it needs the ID, it needs the unchanged event, and it also needs the value. So let's add all those props. So we've added all the 3 props we need. Now we need some options, and we first add a default option that is empty, that just displays the text choose. Now we need a number of options, and in this case, we are now going to map through the filtered subcategory to display the list of subcategories. So we are going to map, and each of them is going to be subcategory, and we are going to return a JSX, and in here we are now going to return an option, and the text for this option is going to be subcategory.title, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, subcategory has a description, not a title, so let's just quickly check. So subcategory has a description. Okay, we can see it from here. Subcategory has a description and not title. So let's go use that. So subcategory.description. Now this option also needs some props, and the prop includes the key and the value. And the value is also going to be the same thing as the key. Okay, so I think we are halfway done. Now we want to add the event handler for handle subcategory change. Now, if we save everything, and I think we have an error. we need to create the event handler for handling a subcategory change. So let's go write that event handler. It's going to be a simple one because it's simply going to update the new product subcategory ID. So we call it handle subcategory change, and it's going to receive an argument of events. So what it's going to do is going to set the new product subcategory ID to the ID derived from the event. So first, let's get the ID from the event. Okay, so we are now going to call the setter function to set the state of the subcategory of the new product and update the subcategory ID field. We're going to use the spread operator to keep every other field to be intact and only update one field. Okay, so at this point, if we try to run this application, we can see that it selects and filters. So let's see what the problem is. Okay, so we add a const here. So let's go to select and see if it responds. So I'm going to select electronics and let's see what happens. So it works so far. I'm going to select sports and it works as well. Okay, so far so good. The next thing we want to do now is to add some styling to the drop-down list. So I'm going back to the code and let's try to add some styling. To add some styling to the drop-down list, we are going to be using the style prop actually. So the style prop applied to the drop-down list. So let's go to C. So this is the select for subcategory. So let's begin with the category. So I'm going to say style. We are going to apply some styles. So the first thing we want to apply maybe the width. So it's going to be 100%. And of course, if you preview, you can see that it becomes 100%. But we need additional styles. We need padding 8px. And of course, when working with UI, always check how it looks. So the pattern is okay, as you can see. Border radius, let's use 4px, and just to check how it looks again. And you see it looks nice. And we also need to add a beautiful border, not a black one. So I'm going to add border. And the border is going to be 1px, is going to be a solid color, and it's going to be gray. In gray, the color code should be CCC for gray. And I would like to add a margin, but bottom is going to be, let's use 15px. We also may have to increase the font size a bit. Font size to be 16px. Okay, so let's see how it looks. So it looks perfectly okay. It looks pretty much okay. So let's simply copy this style across the second select statement. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to use it in the second select statement right here. I'm going to save everything and let's see. So everything looks okay. So this is basically how to implement filtering drop-down list by another drop-down list. So you can try to do automotive, it filters. Try to do books and it filters as well. And of course, you can also try to fill up every other thing and then so nice. So let's just add. And the product was added successfully. And of course, you can just filter to look for it and you can see the product we added. Now, the assignment I'm going to give you, because this is almost done, try to do the same thing for edits. What we did was just for ads. Do the same thing we did here. Instead of for add now, do it for edit. If you have any problems, please write me a comment in the comment box below. Again, the step-by-step is exactly here what I followed in this tutorial. Find the link in the description box of this video below and you can follow the step-by-step to implement it. But please try to do for the edits and later I'm going to guide you through how to clean it up and make it much better. The source code, the repository on GitHub for the React UI application is also, I provide the link in the description box. And also the Spring Boot API application for this is called Product App. You also have it on GitHub. I'm giving it to you for free. See the link in the description box of this video and get the codes for free and be able to check whether you are on track. I'm going to be stopping here. Remember, coming soon, we are going to be building a complete inventory management system using React front end and Spring Boot back end. So as a reminder again, please subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any updates. If this video is okay, you learned something, please like the video, leave me a comment as well to let me know if there's something you need me to do. I remain Kindson the Tech Pro, and I'm always there for you.